So, thanks for the information today. I'd like to learn more about the void.
Okay, so there is this natural void around people. Now, this natural void is not necessarily an emptying of energy, but the presence of this space where energy can connect. Now, this void is it's basically what a lot of people call an aura, and most people are not aware of their aura. And this is why we feel a natural void around ourselves. But these voids can overlap. People's auras can overlap, and basically, this is where the communication between a soul or a spirit can happen. Now, spirit is life energy, yes, but even between souls. So, by the time information gets to a soul, as voids link up, just from being close to somebody, from communicating with somebody, there are a few different layers that it takes for that energy, for that communication to get to an individual. When when two voids get close to each other, when there's a communication, and sometimes it's just physical proximity, there is, of course, the astral body, there is the causal body, and then just before the astral body, we have this emotional body, and then we have this mental body, and there's a part of the mental body that is the intellectual body. So, if the communication between people is solid, if it is productive, then there will be an understanding between two people or more. Sometimes there is a overlapping of voids between people that are not even close together. Sometimes they're across states, sometimes they're across countries. But if there is that overlapping, that agency, that will between people, then it will happen. These voids will overlap, and we'll start to understand one another as far as where each other is coming from and what each other really wants, their motivations. It isn't always easy to get down to what somebody wants, to what their void is trying to influence you through. Sometimes, if people are guarded, if people do not really understand themselves or you, or are deliberately trying to hide themselves from you, then you will feel the void. There will be an absence of information.
So it's just a matter of being like honest.
Yes, two honest people, their voids will interlink, and you'll get far closer to that person because your auras are overlapping. Your connections are there. But if you are not honest, and sometimes if you're very skilled at lying, if you're very skilled at portraying a different exterior to your energy, then you can get a sense from a person that is completely false. But what we need to focus on is the truth of when these voids overlap. We need to be open enough to communicate with other people, to allow ourselves to be open enough to where we can influence people positively. Some people will use this to a negative effect, but if you find somebody that when you're communicating with them or when you're even around them, their void overlaps with yours, you'll feel this sense of togetherness. You need to seek out those voids and connect with those voids. But if you feel like that void is just there and you're not overlapping, then either that person is being deceptive or they're not trying to make a connection, or there's no connection. So human beings in general have this void that is basically neutral. There's this equilibrium. But based on a motivation, it will change. So what I'm trying to say is you have to have an understanding of other people before you can truly connect to them.
So most everyone nowadays is like mysterious. They don't want to be. They don't want to. They want to remain mysterious because they feel like if any information that they provide is going to make them seem weaker.
Yes, because a lot of people are afraid of connection. A lot of people are uncomfortable with true connection.
Right, but
and most people in society just don't connect.
Sure, but guess what happens when you make a connection? Actually progress, work gets done, things happen, things start to change, right?
Yes. And people fear progress. They fear change. And this is what happens when auras overlap or when voids overlap. The person who is being communicated to is added to. Their understanding, their ability to see themselves and other people is colored by the void that they come into contact with, by the aura that they come into contact with. So in modern society, there is a lack of understanding of these voids around people. And what we have to do as individuals, if we want to connect to people, and if we want to be the kind of person that benefits from the teachings of others, from the communication of others, to become something more than we are, we have to be more open. But also, if that void feels like it is a void and there's no communication, we have to be cautious, because that person is either hiding something or they are not trying to communicate. So this sense that you develop, it has to be something you develop as far as, a sixth sense. It's not part of the five senses, the five physical senses. It is the sixth sense. So if you can develop this sixth sense in yourself, then you get this ability that most people call, well, not most people, but a lot of people call empathic ability. You are directly connected to another person's emotions, because the emotional body is where most people connect. And that's where you want to connect. To feel yourself being a human being, and to feel the human beings around you. Thank you very much for watching, and hope all of you have a great day, and do not fear communication.
Exactly.